Hello, Washawn sixth graders. This is Mr. Barbo here. Today I'm going to be reading you Home of the Brave, which the genre is realistic fiction. The essential question is, how do people uncover what they have in common? Read what happens when a young immigrant from Africa meets his new classmates on his first day of school in the United States. 11-year-old Keck comes from a country in Africa that has been torn apart by civil war. He was part of a nomadic herding culture. Keck lived with his father, mother, and brother. Now only Keck and his mother have survived, and she is missing. Arriving in America in early February, Keck sees snow and ice for the first time and is amazed by all of the leafless trees. And he meets Dave, who works for the Refugee Resettlement Center. Dave reunites Keck with his aunt and cousin, who entered America months earlier. It doesn't take Keck long to settle in. Soon, he is learning to make snowballs with a girl named Hannah who lives in his building. Then, one day, Dave takes Keck to school. Will Keck find it hard to make an adjustment to a whole new way of learning? New desk. Dave takes me to school. When I see it, I use the words I learned from the TV machine. No way! It's big enough to graze a herd of cattle in. Made of fine, red square stones and surrounded by many tall, not dead trees. It's a place for a leader of men to work in, not a place for small children to learn their numbers. Dave sees my falling open mouth. Don't be scared, Keck, he says. But I'm not scared like that. Scared is for men with guns, and maybe just a little for a flying boat finding its way back to Earth. Inside my school, the floor shines like ice. I walk carefully. Thin metal doors with silver handles line the walls. Those are called lockers, Dave says. Come on, we're early, but the teacher wants to meet you. Waiting in a big windowed room is a woman with black hair that dances and sturdy arms and eyes that tell jokes. You must be Keck, she says, and then she uses my word for hello. I'm ready to begin my learning, I say, and she tosses out a loud laugh like a ball into the air. I can see you mean business, she says. A man comes in, young and short, with a skin color of rich earth, just like mine. He says he is Mr. Franklin, and he helps sometimes in class when Miss Hernandez needs to do her deep breathing. Everyone laughs. I laugh too, because it's always good to be polite. This will be your desk, Miss Hernandez says. Have a seat. She points to a shiny chair and a little table. A chair of my own and a table too? I smother the thought like an ember near dry grass. I'm very sorry, but I can't, I say softly. I don't have the cattle for such a fine desk as this. Oh, she says, you don't have to pay for this desk, Keck. School's here. School's free here. You just bring your mind and your smile every day, okay? Carefully I sit. I like very much this new desk with its cool, smooth top. My mouth will not stop smiling. You're not going to understand a lot of what we say at first, Miss Hernandez says. This is called an ESL class. You and your classmates will be learning English together. It means they won't always understand you, and you won't always understand them. I'm used to not understanding, I say. It's like playing a game with no rules. She nods. That's exactly what it's like. I know because when I came to the US from Mexico, I couldn't speak a word of English. This is a surprise. A teacher who did not know all things? Did you not know things also? I asked Mr. Franklin. Me? I'm from Baton Rouge, he says. That's kind of like another country. I couldn't understand these crazy northern folks for the longest time. Some of his words get lost on their way to my ears, but I can see from his face that his meaning is kind. When you have a question, Mr. Franklin, and I will be here to help, says Miss Hernandez. She points to the sky. You just raise your hand like this, okay? I nod. I say okay. Just like her, I raise my hand. Yes? she says, smiling big. I ask, when will the learning begin? Cattle. In my class, my long name class called English as a Second Language, we are 16. 16 people with 12 ways of talking. When we talk at once, we sound like the music class. I can hear down the hall hoots and squeaks and thuds, but no songs you can sing. I look at our faces and see all the colors of the earth, brown and pink and yellow and white and black, and yet we are all sitting at the same desk, wanting to learn the same things. Miss Hernandez tells everyone my name and my old home. Then she asks us to draw a picture on the black wall to show where we come from. One boy, Jamie from Guatemala, draws a mountain with a hole called the volcano. Sahar from Afghanistan draws a camel, though, to be truthful, it looks like a lumpy dog. I draw a bull with great curving horns, like the finest in my father's herd. I even give him a smile, but it takes me a while to decide on his coat. In my words, we have 10 different names for the color of cattle, but the writing chalk is only white. I am working on the tail when someone in the back of the room says, "Moo." Then more say it, and more, and soon we are all a class of cattle. At least we can all understand each other. I think maybe some of the students are laughing at me, but I don't mind so much. To hear the cattle again is good music. Lunch. After much schooling, a sound comes like a great bee buzzing. The bell means lunch. Mr. Franklin explains. He gives me a small piece of blue paper. This is for your food. Thank you very much, I say in the most polite English words, but I don't understand how the paper can help my noisy belly. You give the paper to the cooking people, and they will give you food. Mr. Franklin explains. Tastes much better than paper, he laughs. Well, usually, anyway. The eating room is grand with long tables and strange and wonderful smells, and many students chattering. I stand in line, and soon kind, white hatted people fill my plate high with food. Ahead of me, I see the snowball girl named Hannah from my building. She says, "Don't eat the mystery meat if you value your life." Then she points to a brown, wet pile on my plate and makes a face that says, "Bad taste." When my tray is heavy with gifts of food, I stand still in the stream of students. I don't know where to go to enjoy my feast. Hannah waves. "Follow me," she says. "I'll tell you what's safe to eat." "But it's all so fine," I said. She shakes her head. "Kid, you got a lot to learn." Fries. We sit at one of the long tables near by the two students from my class. Jamie, the boy from Guatemala, and Nishan, the girl from Ethiopia. "Hey, Jamie," says. "Hey," I say back, but I can't talk anymore because my mouth is already full of new taste. "Excuse me when I say when I have swallowed at last, but what is this amazing food?" I hold up a brown stick. "Fry," Hannah says, "one of my 5 major food groups." "This fry, it grows in your America ground?" I ask. Hannah laughs. A sound like bells on a windy day. "I suppose you could say that. You're Keck, right?" "I know, because I asked your cousin." Hannah passes me a paper cup filled with strange and beautiful red food. "Ketchup," she says. "You dip your fries in it." I do what she says, then eat. "You're a fine cook," I say. Hannah and Jamie and Nishan laugh. I feel glad I found enough words to make people happy. When a friend laughs, it's always a good surprise.